we often talk about being alive, but what does that really truly mean? Is it just like feeling things, sensing stuff? For ages, I sort of just thought, well, if you're conscious, you're alive. But the sources we're looking at today suggest, well, it's a lot more complicated than that.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we're diving into today. This is Living and Being Alive, Part 1, what it means to be alive. And our mission really is to go past just being conscious.
Right.
We want to understand how we can make sense of our everyday experiences to, make life itself feel more meaningful.
Because the material we've got lays out something pretty fascinating. It says a person can be alive on 4 different levels.
That's right. 4 distinct levels.
Physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And what's really interesting is how they can work on their own or maybe together smoothly or perhaps more often, for many of us, kind of clash with each other.
In disharmony, exactly. It's a really rich picture.
So let's get started exploring that. First, that basic difference the sources draw. Being conscious. What is that exactly, according to them?
Well, consciousness is basically the ability to feel or to sense things or react to stimuli. Something happens inside or outside and you react.
Yeah.
That's consciousness.
Okay, so it's the baseline, like the lights are on, someone's home kind of thing.
Pretty much, yeah. But living or being alive in this deeper sense we're exploring is defined as actually making sense of those daily experiences.
Oh, okay.
And that's what makes life feel more meaningful. It's that active process of understanding, not just reacting. That's the key difference.
Got it. Okay, so if consciousness is just step 1, let's talk about the first level of being truly alive, the physical. What does it mean to be physically alive in this context? Seems obvious, but maybe not.
Well, it's more than just, your heart beating and lungs breathing. Being physically alive here means seeing the connection between what happens out there, external stuff, and what happens in here, internal experiences, and linking that to your actual physical survival. The really powerful idea from the sources is that our body, our physical health, it acts like this constant feedback loop. Illness or disease, for example, isn't just random bad luck.
Right. It feels like it sometimes.
It can, yeah. But the insight here is that it's often the body's way of saying, hey, pay attention. It's signaling that maybe some choices we're making are creating disharmony.
So it's prompting us to look at how we're actually living, how we're caring for ourselves.
Precisely. And maybe make some corrections.
And it's kind of amazing when you think about it, that search for understanding those physical signals, that connection, that's basically driven a huge amount of medical progress, hasn't it?
Absolutely. Developments in medicine, healthcare, it all comes from trying to figure out that conversation our bodies are having with us. It's ongoing.
Okay, so that's the physical. Now, beyond that, the sources point us towards the mental side of being alive. This feels really central to who we are, doesn't it? The mind.
Oh, completely. But again, there's a specific definition here. Being mentally alive isn't just thinking random thoughts. It's defined as the ability to make connections between what's happening now and what happened before.
Okay. Linking present and past.
Yeah, and then extrapolating from that, drawing out lessons or conclusions.
Extrapolating. How does that work?
Well, the sources say it takes 3 main forms. You might project into the future, like running through different scenarios.
Like what if?
Thinking.
Exactly. Or you use those connections to guide what you're doing right now. Or you look back at the past again, but this time to find new lessons you missed before.
And that whole process. Making connections, extrapolating, that's thinking with a capital T.
That's thinking, yes. And the conclusions you reach, those are your thoughts.
Yeah.
And the mind, well, the mind is just the name we give to all that activity, combine the thinking and the thoughts.
So being mentally alive is really about this active learning process. Learning from the past, guiding the present, shaping the future through this extrapolation thing. You got it. It's not passive.
That's interesting.
And what's really striking, historically speaking, is that humanity didn't always operate this way, apparently. The sources suggest we were initially more emotional or even psychic.
Really? Before the mental part really kicked in.
Yeah. And then over time, especially, people in charge, leaders, they started favoring using the mind to guide things. They felt it gave a better understanding, maybe more reliable than just gut feelings or
direct communications from above, as the source puts it.
Exactly. There was this shift towards relying on mental processing.
Which leads right into the word intelligence, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You mentioned the source connects it to the Latin intellectus, meaning understanding.
Precisely. And that focus on understanding, on the intellect, Well, it's led to intellectualism becoming, the main driver for how modern society approaches most things.
That makes sense. Okay, let's shift gears then. From the mental to the emotional. Being emotionally alive. We often hear this described as, like, operating from the heart, right? And it's usually seen as, well, not very rational.
Yeah, that's the common view, but the sources actually push back on that quite a bit.
Oh, how so?
It's fascinating, actually. Science, real research, shows the heart isn't just a pump. It literally has neurons, brain cells.
In the heart, wow.
Yeah, giving it, as the sources say, its own intelligence. And not only that, the heart generates a powerful electromagnetic field.
A field, like an energy field.
Kind of, yeah. It radiates out from us and apparently affects the quality of our interactions with other people.
Huh, never thought of it like that.
And think about true artists, the really creative ones. The sources argue it's the pursuit of these heart feelings, this heart intelligence that drives them. That's what makes them different from, say, an artisan who's maybe just really good at copying or refining something that already exists.
That's a great distinction. Creative artist versus artisan.
Yeah.
Driven by the heart. But, we tend to lump all emotions together with the heart, like anger, jealousy, disappointment. Are those heart feelings too?
Well, that's where it gets nuanced. The sources clarify that while we associate those strongly with emotions, feelings like anger or suspicion might actually stem from our physical state or mental activity, not necessarily originating purely from that heart intelligence.
Ah, okay. So not all strong feelings are from the heart in this specific sense.
Exactly. The source actually breaks down emotional life into two parts. First, there are reactive emotions.
Reactive.
Yeah, they're often based on thoughts tied to being physically alive. Think about feeling jealous because you perceive a threat or sudden joy from a physical pleasure or fear of physical harm. Those are reactive.
Okay, responding to physical stuff. What's the other type?
The other type is proactive emotions. These arise more from thoughts generated by our mental activity.
Like the extrapolation we talked about.
Kind of feeding into it, yeah. Artistic creativity is a prime example here. It's seen as a proactive emotion that really sparks our imagination.
Imagination. Okay, but here's an important point the source makes, right? That imagination, even if it's about creating a better world or picturing yourself differently or thinking of these grand stories, that's not the same as being spiritually alive.
That's a crucial distinction, yes. Because those kinds of imaginations, however lofty they seem, are generally still focused on the material world, on earthly improvements or self-image.
Right. They're built around the material, as the source says.
Yeah.
Which brings us then to the deepest level, spiritual aliveness. This sounds like it goes way beyond just improving our material situation. It's more like the wisdom of sages, that kind of thing.
Exactly. It's a whole different dimension. To be spiritually alive, according to these sources, is to know the spiritual laws that are operating behind the scenes, you could say.
Know them. How?
And, crucially, to learn to recognize those laws playing out in your everyday experiences.
Okay, recognize spiritual laws in daily life. Can you give an example?
Yes, the source uses a very powerful, very stark example. Imagine a young couple living a decent life with their child. Suddenly, war breaks out. Everything's destroyed.
Okay.
The father's killed. The mother is exploited, abused. The child ends up dying in a miserable refugee camp. Just horrific suffering.
Yeah, that's hard to even think about.
And the typical reactions, the mental and emotional ones, well, people might question God, scream about injustice, maybe become an activist, or feel envious of others who are safe, or just desperately hope for some miracle, some supernatural rescue.
Understandable reactions, for sure.
Totally understandable. But someone who is aware of, say, the spiritual law of karma, they might reach a very different conclusion when looking at that same tragedy.
Okay. How does that change the perspective?
Well, this law suggests that every single person lives through experiences that they either caused to others in the past or experiences that are necessary for their own soul's development. Life provides these opportunities, these situations.
Opportunities, even in that kind of suffering.
Opportunities to learn, to perhaps avoid repeating past mistakes, or to build upon positive actions from the past. That's the core idea of karma presented here.
Wow. That's a really challenging way to look at it, to see, as the source suggests, potential love and justice even behind that kind of awful suffering. It feels almost cold, doesn't it?
It can sound that way initially, yeah. But the source is very clear on this point. Understanding the spiritual law doesn't mean you become detached or uncaring.
Okay, that's important.
It absolutely doesn't stop you from recognizing the suffering, from sympathizing with the people going through it, or from helping them. In fact, showing empathy,
Yeah.
actively helping. That's seen as a key way to potentially redeem your own karma.
Ah, I see. So helping others is part of navigating this law, too.
Definitely. It's not about denying the human pain. It's about seeing a potential deeper layer, a larger pattern, a learning possibility within that pain
Yeah.
without ignoring the immediate reality of it.
Okay, that makes more sense. It connects back then to that core idea you mentioned earlier.
Which one?
That we only really start to live spiritually or be truly alive in the fullest sense when we can make sense of our daily experiences. Because that's how life becomes more meaningful.
Exactly. That's the thread running through all these levels, making sense of it all.
So we've kind of journeyed through these 4 levels.
Yeah.
The sources lay out physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And it really shows how being alive is so much richer, so much deeper than just being conscious, doesn't it?
It really does. Each level adds another layer to understanding life. And yeah, across all of them, that ultimate aim seems to be the same.
Making sense of our daily experiences.
That's what the sources argue is the path to a genuinely more meaningful existence.
So thinking about all this, how might understanding these different ways of being alive, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, how might that change the way you, listening right now, see your own day-to-day challenges or your successes? What could you gain, maybe, by looking for the meaning that might lie just beyond the immediate feeling you have or the first thought that pops into your head? It's definitely something to think about, isn't it, as you navigate your own journey of just being alive.